Hey everybody, so today I'm going to talk about flow and fitness, or finding flow in your fitness routine. So I was in another conversation today about how doctors don't learn about nutrition and don't learn about exercise in medical school. And my response was, it's not really that complicated. You can pretty much learn about exercise and nutrition very quickly in a podcast, a couple lectures, a couple books. It's not that complicated. I think most doctors know what to do. The real issue is convincing our patients to start exercising. So we know that exercise is great for your mental health. It helps with depression and anxiety. It's great for your physical health. It's going to help with obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes. In orthopedics, it makes you way more resistant to some of those diseases of chronic inflammation. Doesn't mean you won't have an orthopedic injury, but you'll certainly heal much quicker and you'll be a better candidate for treatment if you're physically fit. So the issue is not really that doctors don't know what to do. The issue is convincing our patients what to do. So if I think about our patients, I'm going to put them in three groups. So the first group is patients who maybe have no interest in fitness at all. Maybe some of them are lazy, but a lot of them, they're not necessarily lazy. They're just putting their energy towards something else. You know, maybe it's work, maybe it's family, maybe it's friends. They don't want to go out and sweat. They don't want to go work hard. And as doctors, we may know that this is going to come back and haunt them, but maybe they're living in the present. They're like, I'm going to live my best life now, and I'll deal with this when I get older. Some of them, as they get older, they might have time to turn it around. Some of them wait till it's too late. And this is kind of sometimes the "it sucks to grow old" crowd. Now I'm going to jump ahead to the third group of patients. The third group of patients are the already physically fit. Like, think about the ones who are kind of trying everything. They're happy to try the next nutrition thing. Like, hey, did you hear about raw milk? Or I'm going to start cold plunging because I'll recover from my workouts quicker. They usually have a standard workout they do, but they love adding new stuff to it. And this is the group where sometimes they're just looking to rebalance a little bit. Kind of think of the person who they gained 5 pounds and they're starting the next nutrition thing to lose that 5 pounds. Or they're slowing down a little bit on their runs, so they want to know the next like weight training regimen or next sprinting regimen so they can speed up their runs again. These are the fit people. Now, the in-between group is the one that both the medical community and the wellness community kind of need to triage towards, to put our focus on. And this is the group that maybe there's a spark of desire there to be fit. There's a spark of desire to not necessarily have to take medicines or need injections or need surgeries, but maybe they don't know how to do it. So from a fitness perspective, this is the group that I worry about the most, because I worry about them putting effort into their routine and not getting payback. And if they don't see payback for their effort, I am sometimes worried that they're gonna quit. So my big thing that I believe that people who are super into an exercise, they find flow in that exercise. So what is flow? Flow can be described or defined as a psychological state where you basically get energized, intense focus. So I think we're very familiar with what flow is, but in sports, we say the person is locked in or they're in the zone. So for a baseball player, this would be the baseball looks huge. They see it the whole way out of the pitcher's hand, and they're on a huge hot streak. Everything they make good contact with. In basketball, you think about just that singular focus where all you're focused on is the basket. The basket looks huge and every ball goes in. The sport that is the most famous for getting you into flow is surfing. You kind of start surfing, all thought leaves your mind and you're totally focused on the ocean and you feel like you're a part of the ocean. Unfortunately, if we're trying to find flow, not all of us can surf and not all of us live near the ocean. I have read before that the most common or the easiest sport to find flow in is actually snowboarding. So it has the benefits of surfing, but it's actually easier than surfing. It's supposedly easier to learn how to do it than skiing. Skiing, you can also find flow. But of all the sports, snowboarding is the easiest one to find flow. If you're thinking about like a sport like football, you notice it. I mean, a lot of players can get in flow, but you notice with the quarterback. So Lamar Jackson is a perfect example of this. Obviously an incredible athlete. He's always competitive. He keeps his team in every game, But when he's in flow, you can see that he makes all the right calls. He knows when it's time to give it to the running back, when he should run. He steps up in the pocket. He feels the rush. He makes all the right reads. He finds the receivers. Last night, the Ravens, he threw like 5 touchdowns. He was in flow. There's other games where he still looks great because he's a phenomenal athlete, but he's not quite in flow. He's not necessarily making all the great reads. And I don't think any athlete is always in flow. So what does this have to do with exercise? Well, I'm imagining the patient who they know they're gaining weight, they're about to be on a cholesterol medicine, they're told they're pre-diabetic, they're told their blood pressure is going up, they're worried about their cardiovascular health, and they know they need to exercise. Well, I think my generation and the generation before that, we kind of felt like, oh, I have to go out and start running. So we would go out and run, 3 miles, 5 days a week at a 10-minute mile pace. And if you don't love running, you're going to quit. If you're just forcing yourself to do it all the time, you're going to quit. Now, there's other people who find flow in running. So what does that mean? It's like if you've ever learned about meditation, when people sit down to meditate, they're fully focused sometimes on their breath. It's not easy to do. They focus on their breath in, their breath out. Or sometimes they focus on a mantra. So like, peace in, peace out, or whatever your mantra could be. Sometimes it can be meaningless, but the point is they're totally focused on that one thing. There's other people who, when they run, they're just totally focused on the running. They're not thinking about the problems of the day. They're not thinking of problems with their kids or problems at work. They're just focused on running. I have a cousin who ran a ton of marathons. Sometimes she did one a year, but sometimes she did several a year. And she would rank in the top of her age group for amateurs. And I'm convinced that she was in the flow when she was running. That was her time to totally relax. That was her time for meditation. For me, that was not the case. Like if I was running, all I thought about was how much farther. I'm only a half mile in. I got to go 5 miles, whatever it was. But then as I got older and I got used to running, I basically forced myself through it. I started finding flow in some of my runs and it became way easier. The story I always tell is when we were in college, we lost a lacrosse game we shouldn't have lost. And it was kind of like in Miracle where Herb Brooks makes the hockey team skate again. We had to do sprints again. I think it was after the game, but it might have been the next day. I don't remember. So then the next day comes around and I think he kind of felt bad. And he was like 35 to 40 years old. And he's like, hey, we sprinted really hard yesterday. We're going to go for a nice, easy lactic acid burning run. I'm 18 years old. We go on this run that was probably about 5-6 miles, not at a fast pace. And I thought my coach was insane. I had never run more than 3 miles. I didn't care how slow it was. I didn't know when we were turning around. I describe it as my Vietnam. It was crazy how hard it was. And then when I was 35 and I started working, sometimes I started running a lot at that age, and I would go out for like a 8 to 10 mile run for the fun of it on Saturdays. And I'd be in the flow. This is when you first started getting those like little nano iTunes things. And I'd have my playlist and I just like listening to my music and going for a run. And I would think back to when I was 18, I was like, what the heck happened? Like what was different? How come I thought it was so hard when I was 18 and I was in phenomenal shape versus now where I was also in pretty good shape, but not as good a shape as I was when I was 18. Why was that 18-year-old 5-mile run my Vietnam? It's because I never found flow. So people who find flow and love to run, they're gonna keep running. Now, other people are just never gonna find flow in running and they're gonna quit and give up. Now, it's not just running. My sister loves doing yoga. She finds flow in doing yoga. I bet you when she's doing yoga, she's at total peace. She's not thinking about the problems of the world. She's not thinking about the economy, the election. She's just doing yoga. When I do yoga, I'm thinking about everything but doing the yoga. So I don't find flow in yoga. Now, doesn't mean that if I kept at it, I wouldn't, but I basically have to do yoga because I know I need to stretch, but I tend to do like 10-minute courses or 20-minute courses just to try to get the stretch in because honestly, I don't love yoga. I don't find flow in yoga. Now, another one is biking. My cousin finds flow in biking. He describes it as he feels like he's downhill skiing or he feels like he's flying. I like biking, but mostly I liked biking with other people. The biking itself, I didn't love because I don't find flow in biking. Other people find flow in swimming. I love swimming, but I don't like chlorine. So I don't like swimming in pools. I like swimming in like open water, like ocean or bay or river water. I don't like the turning. And honestly, there's not that many opportunities to swim in open water where I live. I mean, I can do it in the summer, but there's not that many opportunities. And I don't want to do the whole swim down the pool, turn around, swim down the pool, turn around. My goggles are fogging up. My eyes get itchy. I don't love that. But like Mr. Rogers, the child star, he loved swimming. He swam every day, and it was great for him because that's where he found flow. So my point is, when you start an exercise program, you need to find the thing that you love to do. That is what you're going to keep doing. Now, people who are very fit and love exercise, and a lot of times these are people who played sports, they're used to trying new things, different seasons, that kind of thing. And they're eventually going to keep going because they love exercising and find that thing that becomes their thing. Like, oh, I'm a biker, I'm a triathlete, I'm a CrossFitter, I'm a power lifter, I'm a TRX bander, whatever it is. Part of the reason, though, for me, if you follow me on Instagram and you saw about the walking challenge and the sprinting challenge, is that I believe that there's a lot of ways that people can find flow if they just think about it. So the walking challenge, I think, is great for finding flow. The first reason is because I think the 2 miles you walk is way better than the 4 miles you don't run. And by that, I mean anybody can get out who doesn't have a disability and start walking. And if you set some of these goals to, oh, I'm going to go for a 3 mile run, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to run today, I want to sit on the couch. Well, it's pretty easy to get up and do your walk. But the thing is, I think walking is very easy to find flow because there's so many things you can do while you're walking. So if you love watching movies, you can do it on a treadmill and watch a movie while you're walking. If you love listening to podcasts, I love listening to podcasts, and I can do it when I'm walking. So if I have a good podcast to listen to, it's so easy to walk. And I'm not somebody who can just sit on my couch and listen to a podcast. I'm like, what else do I do? You know, and so walking is the perfect opportunity. Some people love talking to their friends. I love talking to their friends. That's actually where I find flow, is talking all the time. So walking with your friends is great. And in my neighborhood, if my neighborhood's like your neighborhood, I look around, I see women walking together all the time. You don't really see that many men walking together, but this summer, unfortunately, we had a tragedy in our family, but part of my coping was walking with my buddy Matt, and we could literally walk 5 to 6 miles just talking about what happened that summer and about life, and you wouldn't even notice. Like we could have gone all day, literally. It was more like we were like, okay, we got to get home. Like we could have kept walking forever because we found flow when we were talking to each other. Some people find flow listening to music. So that is why I think the walking challenge and getting out there and walking is great. Part of your fitness is that you need to get your body moving, and walking is a tremendous opportunity to do that, and you can find flow in that. And then you build on that. You start looking for other exercises, and something will come to you that you love. I love lifting weights. I'm a skinny guy, but I still enjoy it. When I'm lifting weights, I'm not thinking about work that day or what I have to do next. I'm just thinking about lifting weights, and I enjoy it. And there's lots of things like that if you look for them, but don't feel like you have to do it a certain way. If you are forcing yourself to do it, you'll eventually quit. Now, you're trying to build habits, but sometimes you build habits by setting goals. And this year, or this time of year, October is big, like running season. A lot of people are doing marathons and half marathons and things like that. And they set a goal to do it. And I think it's awesome. Set goals, accomplish those goals. But remember, what you're really doing is you're trying to build habits. So if you complete a marathon or a half marathon, give yourself a pat on the back, but you don't want to be that person who does the marathon and then never works out again. So it's really important to like go for a slow jog. It's important to, do some sprints afterwards, or do a distance run, whatever it is, or even just walk, but make sure you maintain that fitness. You don't want to be the person who did a bunch of marathons in your 30s, and then when you're 60, you don't work out at all. And the same thing goes for sports. There's people who play sports in high school and college and beyond who, as soon as they stop playing sports, they stop working out completely. And other people keep going, and you have to be one of those people. Remember, it's important to keep going. And for some athletes, this is a strange concept for them. I remember when I was in college and I would go to the gym or go for a run because I had basically an off-season training program where you were supposed to lift a certain amount of days, you're supposed to run a certain amount of days, and I always did what I was told. So I went and I would look around and I'd see other students running or other students in the gym lifting, and I'd be like, that's kind of strange. Like, what are they lifting for? Like, what are they running for? They're not playing a sport. And it almost seemed a little bit like vain to me, like they're lifting just to look good. Like, I was 19 years old. I didn't know anything at the time, but it just seemed odd to me. But in reality, we all need to be moving our body long after you play sports. It is going to keep you healthier. And I don't know if the college kids were doing it to be healthier, but they were certainly doing it to feel better. They were used to being active. They were probably active in high school, and that's why they continued to do it in college. So if you do it, you will be mentally stronger. You're going to fight off depression and anxiety. Doesn't mean you won't need Western medicine, but it's certainly a huge help. You're going to help fight off obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, even it can help with cancer, all these things. By getting out there and being physically fit, you make yourself way more resilient. And as physicians, our goal is to guide patients to be more physically fit. And just telling them, hey, you got to start working out is probably not helping somebody who doesn't have all the information. And I do think the understanding the people who continue to work out, we need to look at them and we need to study them. And I really think a major factor that maybe we're missing is the concept of flow. I have enough experience working out. I am surrounded by friends and family who work out, and I am convinced the ones who super get into a line of workout, it's because they find flow doing that workout. And I believe very strongly you should work out every day. Now, does that mean there's no days off? No, but if you set out to work out every day, so even if you're not going to lift, you're not going to run, you're not going to go to the gym, you're still going to go for a walk to keep your body moving, because there's going to be days where you just can't work out. Your schedule's going to be overflowed. You might be traveling all day. You might be sick, whatever it is. You're going to have enough days in the year where you don't work out. So don't plan any days off. Get out there, do your best to exercise. And as the wellness community, just realize that, you got to figure out the people you're trying to reach. There's some people who just, they're not interested right now, and have a little bit of understanding of what position the physicians are in. And the physicians, you just got to put that message out there. You have to emphasize how important nutrition and food are, because you don't want to assume everybody's in group one, the group that's not interested, the group that more just wants a pill, they want to be treated and get going. You got to realize there's a lot of people in the second group who do have a spark of interest, and they're kind of depending on you to fan that flame. So good luck to everybody. Get out there, do your thing.